Hello and welcome to the 29th Zebra BI webinar. This time we have a live bake-off session of Tableau versus Power BI, the Superstore challenge, where we are going to recreate Tableau's own demo workbook and dashboards and try to compare the features of Tableau versus Power BI side by side live in both tools and see what's going on, see what the data visits are, what the key features are, how to create calculations in both tools and so on a nice small example. So the the workflow, how to work your way around both tools, what types of data visualization, visuals, charts and tables do they support, calculations, features and so on, and also in the end the extensions and custom visuals that both tools support. So we'll try to assess some strengths and weaknesses of both tools. All right, hopefully this is going to be an interesting session today. I'm Andrej, the founder and CEO at Zebra BI, which is a software tool for advanced data visualization that currently runs in Excel and Power BI. My primary field is data visualization. I've been doing data viz and BI since 1999, actually. So I hope I have some experience in both tools and also other tools, not just Tableau and Power BI, but also others like ClickView and Excel, lots of Excel and business objects and others. Actually, in my solo consulting career, I actually started as a consultant in Tableau. That was between 2006 and 2008. So I did some nice projects with Tableau for some very interesting clients. So that was quite a long time ago. So in the meantime, I switched many tools and ended up in Power BI mostly at present. But still, hopefully, my insights will come handy today with this comparison. And I do have some help today as well. So Tina is with me, our BI consultant, who will also help me with the webinar, monitor the Q&A, and make sure that your as many as possible questions are answered. Tina, would you say hi to our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, everyone, and thanks a lot for joining. So today, the most popular reporting tools will be put on display. Andrej has some really cool examples for you, so this one should be fun. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat section below.
Thanks, Tina. Let's kick it off then. I just have to start with the Gartner analysis because it just came out a week ago. So this one that we are looking at right now is from 2020. So last year, Microsoft and Tableau are both leaders for quite some time, for many years now. And yeah, Microsoft took the leadership a while ago, actually. So this was the situation last year. So if you focus on Microsoft and Tableau, what happened last week with the new Magic Quadrant for Analytics and Business Intelligence by Gartner is that actually Microsoft sort of pushed everybody else a little bit still, again, a little bit down and to the left. So it gained actually in both the completeness of vision and also the ability to execute. At least that's how the analysts at Gartner see the situation. There are many reasons for that. So if you read the whole analysis, you will see that Gartner appreciated the steps towards AI that Microsoft Power BI is doing, the whole integration and with Office and Teams and so on. So Microsoft does have a couple of advantages, and mostly Tableau actually lost in this dimension of the ability to execute, at least in relation to Microsoft. So let's just quickly browse the strength and weaknesses of the tools as Gartner sees this. So with Tableau, they see analytics user experience as the major strength here. I mean, this is undeniable. The Tableau has been a leader there. They have some amazing features, and the whole way how the tool is constructed, the whole user experience is really amazing, and which of course leads to great customer enthusiasm. Tableau has some die-hard fans out there, rightfully so. Then on the other side, the cautions: Tableau is not cloud native, as opposed to Microsoft Power BI. The licensing is really premium, so it's just more expensive than Power BI. So that's probably one of the major reasons as well why Microsoft is gaining market share in this market. And on the other hand, the strength of Power BI is the alignment with the Office and the integration with Teams. Microsoft has done a lot of steps there, quite intentionally so. There are great features being rolled out with integration with Excel and so on, and with Teams. It's very obvious if you follow the development of the product. And then obviously the price power combination, like the bang for the buck, it's probably the greatest here on the side of Microsoft Power BI. And also the scope of product ambition, where Gartner sees especially I think they valued the addition of the AI approaches that Microsoft has delivered actually last year, with hundreds of new features, with the smart narratives, with the key influencers visual, with the outlier detections and stuff that they have added. On the other hand, the cautions, functional gaps in on-premises version. I think this is clear to everybody in Power BI community, that the Microsoft of course has great support for on-premise and cloud version, but the report server, the on-premises version, is behind in versions and so on. It's quite clear from the Microsoft strategy as well that they're pushing the cloud. They want everybody to go to the cloud, so the on-premises version is a little bit behind always. Yeah, and maybe also content promotion and publication process, where the if the scope of deployment is really deep, then it can become challenging with thousands and thousands of users and workspaces and so on to manage everything. Just an explosion of reports and dashboards everywhere. So the governance is quite important there. All right, so maybe I will not comment any further on the Gartner analysis. Maybe I would add a different perspective before we dive into the tools, which is, where do those tools actually come from, right? So on the time axis, Tableau started in 2003. It was founded by 3 guys from the Stanford University. They were all researchers, very heavily interested in data visualization, and this shows, I mean, it was a data exploration, visual exploration tool, and a visual analysis tool from the very start. That was the idea. So it's very clear that it was a clear vision in this direction. So this is where Tableau started, and then Power BI followed up quite later. So in 2010, Amir Nets announced the so-called Project Crescent at a PAS event conference, and it was a very interesting project. It was the first, version of Power BI actually, which then got integrated into SQL Server, and then eventually in 2013 was published under the name Power BI for Office actually, and it was actually an Excel add-in. Actually, 3 Excel add-ins: Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. And as you see, the first ones, Power Query and Power Pivot, are actually data modeling and data extraction tools. That was really the core focus of the start of Power BI. The strongest part actually was data transformation and data modeling, and the amazing tabular engine that is behind Power BI, which is still, I guess, the strongest part of Power BI. So they basically, the tools somehow come from slightly different angles, I would say. And Tableau has like a 10-year, like a decade of advantage here. And then officially, Power BI, the first version came out 2015. The Power BI that we know now started at that point. Okay. Now, just maybe the last thing here on this date axis, Tableau Prep was announced in 2018, which sort of shows that Tableau goes from the visual analysis field more into data prep and so on, and Power BI is probably started more on the data side, and then is adding data visualization capabilities as we go. And I found an interesting analysis, interesting statistics actually here. The percentage of questions on Stack Overflow over the years, and you can see how just Power BI just took off with the adoption of users and so on, and it has an explosive growth and very fast development cycles, which is how somehow Power BI got all this all these movements going on with almost like a startup approach basically within Microsoft. It was quite amazing to see. All right, now that was history, that was Gartner. Let's compare now the tools side by side. In the end, I'll show the resources, download links. There'll be some time for the Q&A in the end. This is a 1-hour session. Plus the Q&A, and we are recording this, so we'll send you the recording after the webinar as well. Let's start with the basic workflow as a normal, BI or user, or maybe like a business user. How do you start working in both tools? Let's start in Tableau. All right, cool. So this is the basic, this is the default demo that comes, except from this thing here. All right, so this is what is shipped with the Tableau. It's a demo, Superstore, so-called Superstore demo, which features some sales across different geography, across different types of products, and some segments, some customer segments. So it's a typical sales dashboard. This is the first page in Tableau, and this is a dashboard. So how do you actually start working in Tableau? You always start, basically you start working in a Tableau sheet, which is which contains one type of visualization, so like one chart and so on. Basically you start with that, and then you can expand on that and it has a lot of features, as you will see. So we'll start with just with the first one, which is the map here. So this map shows some sales, and it has a tooltip. So what am I looking at? This is some kind of it's actually profit ratio. So what's the ratio of profit for each state? And we have some negative profitability here in Oregon, for example, and in other countries and so on. So it's a typical geo analysis like this. So you create this page by basically you start very simple in Tableau. Let me just create a new worksheet. So in Tableau, this is my data here in Tableau. So these are all of my data fields, and then I also have some calculations, right, which you need as an analyst. You need to add them. Some of them were added already in the demo. Some of them I added. Yeah. So how do you start? So maybe you find your data. So if I just right click, if I just double click the state, Tableau sort of knows that this is geography. I get the map, and then I just drop in my sales. I have some kind of analysis like this. I actually had a different type of map here. So because in Power BI, sorry, in Tableau, you have two types of maps, so you can actually switch between one and the other, right? So this is how you basically get this. So it was a couple of clicks here in Tableau, and then as you see the default tooltip, there's some sort of a tooltip here, which is a default tooltip, some text, state, and my sales here. Actually, we had profit ratio, so let's do this with the profit ratio, which I have here in my calculations. Switch to this one. All right, that's how I got two different colors here. What about Power BI? I'll do a lot of alt tabbing today. So, all right, Power BI, very similar picture. Now I have my data fields. This time they are on the right side. These are my data fields here. I have my state here. Let's click on the state. Whoa, Power BI also thought that this might be a good idea to show a map, and both tools were right. All right. Very similar to Tableau, also Power BI has two types of maps here. So now I can switch to the so-called field map. That's how it's called in Power BI, and I got this. So it's a map with all the states, and now I try to let's see the profit ratio, which I have here. Let's add this as well. Okay, so now what Power BI did, it added this into tooltips. So now I see the profit ratio by state. And in Power BI, the way how you work in Power BI is you need to go here under, you need to go under your settings. Every visual has its own settings. So we'll go under data colors, and let's try to do something similar to what we had in Tableau. So I'll use the profit ratio to display different colors. So some kind of a orange, blue, orange combination. So this is my color scale now for the map. And voila, this is the map in Power BI. When you go with your mouse here, you again have this tooltip, which is the default tooltip. So far, quite similar. All right, now the next thing, the tooltip. Now Tableau has this area here, which is called marks, where you basically do the most basic. You set the most basic settings, let's call it like that. So you also have the tooltip here, and this is something that I always liked about Tableau. The tooltip is very flexible. It's basically an edit box where you can type in whatever you want, you know, and you can change parts of the text if you need. You can change the font type and sizes and so on, you know, so you can emphasize something or not, right? So now I've spelled this, but and then the other thing, which I always liked about Tableau's tooltips, you can insert stuff into the tooltip. Not just that you can, you know, completely amend it. You can actually insert a whole page, so a chart from another page, which I have here. It's called profit ratio by city. So this was prepared in advance. It's just another chart on another page, and this is how you include this into the Power BI, the tooltip in Tableau. All right, that's great. So, you know, now I have the breakdown by state also here in Tableau. What about Power BI? All right, how do I do this? Under settings in Power BI, you have the tooltip. So we have settings for the tooltip. And of course, you have, you know, label colors and text sizes and stuff like that. But how do we get the chart into the tooltip? Well, Power BI has a very similar concept actually, which is called a report page tooltip. Okay, so what you do, very similar to what you have in Tableau, you actually create another page, and then this page will be displayed in the tooltip in this other visual. Okay, so this is what I had, similar to Tableau. I have a chart here, so you can basically design whatever you want. Again, very similar to Tableau. I actually can add some text boxes, right? So this is a text box in Power BI, which is now actually also very, very flexible. So, you know, you can just design everything that you want. Actually, it's very it's quite a nice user experience here. So you can change everything. So you see what you get immediately. You design the tooltip. You see the sizes. Okay, now I have it. This is the page. This page is called tooltip A. So when I go back to my map, I just simply go under my tooltip settings and I select that the page called tooltip A is now my tooltip here, right? So I get something similar. All right, it's not completely the same because the charts now behave slightly differently, you know, the sizes and so on, of course, and the default settings are always a little bit different, but the principle is actually very, very similar. Okay, now this was the start of that. Quite similar so far. However, now the 10 years of advantage of Tableau, I would say, kick in, if we are quite frank, because now in Tableau, in terms of geographical presentations and you know, just the ability of the visualizations is still you know, is still much higher than it's higher than Power BI in some cases, like this one, for example, with the map. You can just continue now. This is, you know, you can create layers in maps. For example, if you drag the city and you go here on the above the map, you can actually drop this into this into the so-called layer, right? So, and then you see now you get the cities here. Now you can you know, change the color of the city, so you can use the like the city profitability. Not sure that this is a good idea now to mess everything one on top of the other, but now you can basically change anything. You can, you know, add labels, you know, show the labels in different ways, and select when do the labels show up. Orders like this, right? So it's, at this point, this visualization, this particular visualization does have additional options in Tableau that are at the moment not completely available, not available in Power BI maps. So you can laser select the states here and things like that, but just in the ability to control exactly what happens, which labels are displayed, and other details. Tableau does have some more options here, or I would say in terms of geographical presentations, it's quite it has much more further options, which is why the people who really need this, like advanced users, data visualization professionals, designers, and so on, don't want to switch to Power BI. Whereas for a for a normal business user who doesn't need all of those detailed options and so on, they mostly prefer Power BI actually, because it's kind of easier to start, which we will see now, because now that I've created this page, how do I create that dashboard? Okay, in Tableau, this is now a big difference between the concept of the tools. Tableau has only basically one type of chart initially on one page. Okay, so I cannot add a time trend somewhere here and so on, right? I need to create a new dashboard for that. So I need to go and click here, create a completely new dashboard, and now I see all of my sheets where I created this stuff, and you just basically drop the worksheets on a dashboard. Like for example, as we had here, we had this map. Now I have changed it, but let's take a look at another example, which is an area chart that shows the sales. All right, now we are analyzing the sales over time. Over time, it takes some time to actually understand this. So I have March 2017. So not all the labels are here. It's hard to understand which is the first one, what's going on. So it's a couple of years worth of data on a monthly level here. And the only way to understand this is just go with your mouse and basically read through some of the labels. What are the colors here? This is the sales, and it is split into the colors are actually split into profitable orders and unprofitable orders. I don't think this is a very good analysis actually. There are probably better ways to do this, but it's sort of the orange part here shows the portion of the orders that are unprofitable. Now, how unprofitable is this? Like is this like minus 0.009, or is it like completely unprofitable, 50% loss each month or something like that? It's actually you can't really say, because this is just a count of orders. It's not the actual profit. Okay, that would be better to actually visualize directly, I guess. But again, this is one type of chart, but it's repeated across 3 panes here. Why? Because now in Tableau you have the rows and columns. What does this mean? So if you just add sales sales by month, okay, I have my month here in columns, and then I'm showing the sales, and I'm using some colors for other for order, profitable, unprofitable order. But now the basic concept in Tableau is you can take another dimension, all right, which is basically a text data field. Let's just simplify it like that. You can take it and you can drop it like in rows. So now I have 3 charts for 3 elements in my segment. So basically 3 business segments, and you can do the same for columns. You can just put it in columns, and you know, Tableau is very fast and just creates those charts that are scaled by default. So this is what is called small multiples in data visualization. So Tableau was probably one of the first tools that did this quite well. As you see, it's always a matrix. Okay, so you always have the rows and the columns. Now I just have one column, but you can put another dimension here. So let's drop some product. I can actually open this. I have a hierarchy here. So let's put the product category here. So you see, and this is you know, the process of visual exploration, visual analysis, interactive visual analysis. That's exactly what Tableau was you know, created for. Okay. One thing with the small multiples here, they are always equidistant. Okay, so there's always, no matter what the values are, you know, these rows will always be equidistant, or columns will be equidistant, always, no matter what the situation is, which is a drawback in after, you know, when you become a little bit more advanced or at an intermediate level, typically this becomes a problem in Tableau. What about Power BI now? We have seen now that we have this, you know, the charts and those small multiples. So the charts in Tableau, right now I have the area charts. Of course, you also have, you know, line charts and different types of line charts. You have tree maps. Don't do this, please. You know, you can show the data with marks. Tableau is very good at especially with scatter plots, but then you need two measures, 2 variables, okay, for the correlation analysis. You have stacked charts, and then side-by-side charts, pie charts, and tables. And then sort of tables, how do they actually call this? It's a kind of a heat map, really, but encoded with sides, which I think is a really nice idea. Or the more conventional, more standard one, which is basically a table with some conditional formatting, which usually is not a good idea. All right, so these are the basic options here in Tableau. Then you have a Gantt chart, which can be used for some, like, you know, project management activities. So wherever you have some duration or start time, end time for something, or typically what advanced users do in Tableau, they actually abuse this type of chart to create charts that are actually not in Tableau, like waterfall charts and other types of charts, because it's slightly more flexible. Okay, so this is the Gantt chart. Then you have, you know, some more, this is more a decorative type of visualization, I would say, more like a infographic, let's call it like that, for some infographics maybe. And this is more or less it. So of course the box and whisker plot for statistical analysis, and the one that I can't recreate right now, which is called the bullet chart, bullet graph. Also an interesting one. Let me switch back to, I had this one. So one thing here, when you click here on this show me button, Power BI will also rearrange your data fields. So it's kind of an automated visualization. Power BI tries to present the things, you know, Tableau in the most appropriate way, and then it'll, you know, just change your fields. Like, I'm sure that I had my category in my columns, right? But because one of those options, you know, was not, probably didn't make sense for this layout, Tableau moved my data fields around. So it can become slightly confusing, you know, because things will just disappear from your, you know, placeholders, right? So Power BI, on the other hand, has a very different. Okay, so now I have something like this. Okay, and now again, I need to go back to my dashboard, and now I will take this new field. God knows which one is it. 26. Where did I do this? Well, it doesn't matter. So it was probably one of those. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? Oh, maybe it was on a hidden page or something, right? So again, you take your new chart or small multiple that you created on another page, and again you add it here to the dashboard. Then you can move the things around, you know, put it below and so on. Then you can make it like a float. Oops, sorry, not this one. You can make it a floating container, so you can freely float it around, maybe overlap some things, like put buttons. This is how you put buttons on top on the Tableau dashboard. Okay, what about Power BI? What about Power BI? I have my map. Now in Power BI, this concept, this workflow is different because you do everything on the same page, okay? So this is called actually a report page, but it's actually more of a dashboard concept, really, from the start. So let's do something similar. So I'll take the, it was some kind of a area chart or a stacked area. Let's take the area chart now, dropping the sales, and we'll do this by time. So let's drop in my month here. Okay, I'll just have a monthly chart for now. And next thing, some colors. So we had some profits. I'll just add profit. Okay, so now I have my sales and my profit. Of course, I can change the colors. So as you see, what am I doing? This is not a separate, this chart is not on a separate page. I'm doing everything on the same page. Okay, this is a slightly different concept, right? I do everything immediately on the same page, and I can freely float the things around. And then Power BI will actually help me align the objects. Okay, so I don't need to design a separate, you know, dashboard page. Look at my worksheets and so on. And this is one of the reasons. So it's more of a like a PowerPoint type of experience, really, which is also what Microsoft, you know, says in their marketing, you know, materials. Like it's the PowerPoint for data. Power BI is a PowerPoint for data, and for a new user, I think this is actually a really good idea to have such an experience. It's much easier to start, really. Okay, but what about the visualizations? First of all, let's see a couple of settings. So all the settings are always here under these settings, under the format options. So you have the data colors, so you can now choose some kind of a, you know, it was like this. You can, you know, you can do it like this. In most cases, you can apply the conditional formatting for the colors, but not always. Not always. So, like, also in Tableau, you don't have this option to, you know, apply some measure to a color always. But in almost all the cases, you can do that in Tableau. Here in Power BI, sometimes you will sort of miss the you know, icon for the conditional formatting, which is the equivalent to Tableau's you know, color handling, dynamic color handling. But Power BI is just adding those options every month, basically, and on the service, it's basically every week. Okay, so this is one chart. You can create the small multiples. So this is one chart now. You can create small multiples in Power BI as well, which is one of the newest functions in Power BI actually. So let's take that category that I had. This time you drop it into the so-called small multiples placeholder. So if you do this, you will get, 3 charts for, 3 product categories. Okay, similar to what I had in Tableau, but slightly different. So let's take this one. That was the original one. Let's go here. All right. So in Tableau, you always have basically, a two-dimensional matrix. Okay. So if you just have one data field like category, the matrix will always be like 1 by n or n by 1. So like 1 row and 3 columns, or 1 column and everything in 3 rows. All right. Power BI is slightly more flexible now because you can actually control this in the grid layout of the small multiple. So there's a setting here. You can say, of course, you can just say, okay, I want everything in 1 row and 3 columns, and it will try to fit all the charts, in those 3 columns. Or you can have, 3 rows and just 1 column, and then, this is how you control the grid in small multiples in Power BI. Now, yeah, unfortunately, you can see that. So it's actually it's slightly more flexible, which is really good if you have a lot of elements, right? That can become a problem in Tableau. Here it's slightly better if you're using just one field. But on the other hand, there are way less options to now control exactly, the spacing. The spacing is slightly too big in maybe, and there are at the moment there are still maybe some settings missing to condense the space, to format everything, and so on. Of course, Power BI is just adding those things as we go. I just downloaded the latest version 2 days ago, I guess, when it came out, the latest one, and it now has, the grid lines. You can control the grid, the borders, and so on around it. Of course, control, the line colors and everything, and the line styles, and so on, right? So, so Power BI is just adding those things here. Okay. So this is like, I would say these are the basic charts. It's more or less similar here, but now the major difference in terms of data visualization, at least, is that in Tableau, you can now, you can actually now start working with it and just add many things that you still maybe cannot do in Power BI. On one hand, of course, then Power BI has other features, right? But in terms of data visualization, there are a couple of things. So first of all, let's actually try to analyze this, because what's going on in this retail operation, I see a lot of spikes here, but what does this really mean? What are the trends like, the growth rates, and so on? So I did a quick analysis here. So for example, in Tableau, this is my sales. You can drop several measures. Let's add my profitability, or shall we just start? Let's just add the profit. All right, now I have the sales and the profit. Okay, and you can change the color by just dropping the same, because profit can be, positive or negative. Oops, that was not good. So I added this to all the marks. So you see now I have marks for my sales measure, and marks for the profit measure, which is here. So I actually wanted to drop my profit into this one, you know, to change to automatically color. So you can do the same with conditional formatting in Power BI, right? So it's very similar concept. You can control the color scales. Color scales are really professional in Tableau. Of course, have been for a long time. You can change, of course, the scales and types of palettes. You know, you have a lot of options, diverging, sequential, and so on. You can make it stepped, so you know you can change it to just to exactly 2 different colors. Actually, I think people in Tableau would use something like not really this one. Now I'll probably spoil it. But yeah, whatever, just for the so I see, I mean, this is quite easy. Now, what you know, the power of Tableau is now I can take this. So you can do this also in Power BI, for example, with a matrix with the matrix visual and some conditional formatting to change the colors in the columns. However, what I can do now, you know, is this. Like in Tableau, I can now right-click and I can say, all right, I want this. I want a dual axis, which actually just takes my profit, overlays my profit over my sales, and I can say, all right, I want this bar slightly more narrow. You know, so now I see like what's the profit within my sales. But wait, this looks off. How can we have more profit than sales? That's something is wrong, right? What is wrong? Well, this axis here is different than this axis, so they are not synchronized. Well, then you can go here and synchronize the axis. Okay, and this now gives me the proper visualization. Now I can understand. If only my colors were a little bit better. Sorry for that. I can actually understand, you know, exactly how much profit, you know, within the sales across, you know, all the product categories and subcategories and across, you know, quarters. All right, and then then you can go on and add things like, you know, reference lines and stuff like that. So you know, you can add a reference line per cell, so you can do things like that. And this is what a typical, you know, Tableau, a little bit more advanced Tableau user would do, you know, because it has those options and would just add the things, and this is why people love Tableau, I guess. But then, so you do this, and then the next step, for example, and then, you know, you start with problems, then you come into a specific point where you do this, and now I have added, so now I have my profit, my sales, my profit here, and also I have added sales versus target, all right? Because there was also a plan here, a target in this database, and I have added this. I've made sure that everything is synchronized. Okay, this was quite a dirty trick here. I actually needed to add the sales. Let me just show you. So this is what Tableau does by default. When you have a new measure, it always takes all the space, the same space. So remember what I said with the matrix in Tableau, it's always equidistant. So the sales versus target here is just, you know, way off, and it looks like, whoa, everything is very green and a lot of green. Are we like twice the target, or was there nothing before that? Okay, not really. The problem is that, you know, this is always just extended. So this axis is not synchronized with this axis. And now, so now this is another data visualization problem, scaling problem, and now the Tableau suddenly also does not have the answer for this, right? So I cannot just click here and I maybe right click and say, synchronize the axis for me. It's there's no way how to do this. So you can maybe manually manipulate the axis, set the maximum or something, or do a dirty trick. Again, what people in Tableau do, take the sales, put it once again here, and now take this, change, make a dual axis one more time. By the way, I love this detail here, how if it's a dual axis, so there are two charts in one, you see that this pill here is, it's not rounded, so that you understand that they're like together. All right, and now, okay, now this looks weird. Now what will I do? Now I will synchronize the axis. So basically I have my sales here in both panes, in both columns. And now I'll go here and like hide, sorry, change the sales. This is the one. And then like you hide it. So you still have the sales here just for the scaling. So, it's a little trick that you need to apply, and it does not work every time, especially if I would have some negative options, negative values here, this would break. But this is what you can do in Tableau. The result is a lot of empty space here, and this is what just what you get in Tableau. So a lot of options, a lot of tweaks, but still limitations when you now want to add. If we now try to add this to the dashboard, you will have this problem. Do I see it? So versus targets, let's put it somewhere like this. So you see now I have the problem with this empty space here. Okay, there are again hacks and workarounds for that, but they would take much more dirty approaches. Okay, what about Power BI? When you have something like this, I would probably go for a matrix. So we had, the category and subcategory, remember? So the category and subcategory, let's go back here. Actually, it's consumer and category. Okay, so two levels of category. So you can do this in a Power BI matrix visual, where you put, again, your measures. So I have, you see the profit ratio and the sales. So if I just drop one, I just go out. So this is my profit ratio. And then I also bring in the sales. Now I have both, and now you apply the design, okay, because this is basically a table, a matrix at first, but then again you design it, right? So for example, my profit ratio, as you see, I already used this. First of all, you have field formatting here, so where you see all of those fields, sales and profit ratio, where you control, the number formats and the alignments and so on. So this is the field formatting, and then you have the conditional formatting, and for example, where you can do this for each and every measure that you add here. So like the profit ratio, you see I have data bars enabled, so that's how I got the bars, the visualization here. So without this, it will be just a boring table, but you add the data bars, and then you go here, and then you can control all the colors and everything. So let's do it like this. Okay, I could do the same for the sales, apply some different, and you can apply different things. So you can mix it up. So you can apply the background color, which we saw in Tableau. Remember, like this one here on the top. So you can just do this across the whole table, or just across one measure, or you can apply the data bars again, and yeah, maybe select another color or something. So you can do this and so on. So it's not it's not a proper, separate chart and so on. It's more like conditional formatting in a matrix, but that's kind of, I would say, the alternative for this. All right, so now we have we went quite deep into into different options here. Let's see. So that was the workflow and the visualizations. The key features, we have seen, the tooltips and so on. Power BI has really nice drill through options, and the drill downs, I would say, are here maybe even more intuitive in Power BI with this expand collapse option. Otherwise, the drill downs are the user experience of the drill down is different in both tools, but they both support, many types of drill down and drill through options. I would say it was maybe even slightly better user experience on the side of Power BI. Now, in terms of data preparation and modeling, I don't have the time today to go into the details, but this is where Power BI is is simply much stronger. So Tableau has data source connections. We can choose between, live connections or extract, which is equivalent to loading data in Power BI. So they both have the same basic option. Okay, now I don't have it here. Maybe I have it somewhere else. Okay, so the data source, you have live connection or extract. You can connect to a lot of data sources, both with Power BI and with Tableau. Tableau has shipped Tableau Prep in 2018 and has done some good improvements last year and just recently, actually. But on the other hand, Power BI is just a spaceship when it comes to modeling and data transformations. It has actually two tools with two languages, actually, M for Power Query and DAX for the data modeling and calculations. And you can do practically, you can do anything with any kind of data source, mostly, right? Most data sources are covered, but also the power of transformations. If you look closely here, you can even include machine learning algorithms, do your clustering and things like that while you're importing your data or loading your data. You have direct query versus loaded data, so live connections versus loaded data. You have composite models where you can actually mix the two and create relationships, in your data model. So I think in this area, Power BI is much stronger, actually. All right, then there's the last area where I want to end this part and then go into Q&A. The extensions they call them in Tableau versus custom visuals in Microsoft. These are two completely separate worlds. Microsoft right now has 318 visuals and counting. Tableau has 52, as I have seen on the website. And it's just, in Tableau, it's very limited. The extensions work only in the dashboard part, not on the page, like within the core Tableau. So Tableau is a much more closed system, as opposed to Microsoft, that was always partner oriented, had open infrastructure APIs for partners and a marketing channel for partners and so on. So it's much stronger here. There's a huge difference. So with Microsoft, custom visuals are completely integrated in Power BI. completely integrated, so you don't even see the difference. They get the same data. The workflow is exactly the same. Microsoft even certifies the best visuals out there, so they are certified also that they meet security standards and so on. So completely integrated, and there's a vibrant community here. So with this, Power BI gains an enormous advantage actually over Tableau, because it can in the meantime close the gap in certain data visualization types and so on, for example, the waterfall chart. One of those pictures is Tableau, one is Power BI, right? But Tableau does not offer native waterfall charts. Power BI actually does, but it does not allow them in. It does not work. They don't work in small multiples, right? So in Tableau, you can tweak your way around and create a waterfall chart, okay? But in Power BI, actually, you can't really, but you take a custom visual and you have the same picture, and not just that. So, in case you were wondering which is which, tool B is Tableau, tool A is Power BI, this time with Zero BI visuals. So these are the visuals that we are actually producing. And then those visuals can do not just what Tableau can do, but because they are specialized, they can just present the data in an even more powerful way. Like for example, here now we see the small multiples where where the values, some values are much bigger than other values. All right, so in this case, I don't have just simple equidistant matrix, right? We actually see that China and United States, have much higher energy consumption, and then so the other charts are actually split in this very dynamic and highly automated small multiple, which is something that Tableau can't do, even with the best tricks out there. Or financial statements where you need to present, or some more business reports where you display some changes. You have the changes, and those changes need to be aligned, scaled with the native, with the base values. All right, so if you remember this problem that I had in Tableau, which is actually one of the reasons why I switched to other tools from Tableau. I love the tool. I still love Tableau. I must say, I'm a huge fan. I've always been. But once you get to those, it was called. Sorry, it was this one. So it was called versus. This is, oh no, this is Power BI. I'm getting confused now. Tableau Superstore, this one versus, you see this one. So this problem here, the empty space and so on. And then I cannot get, I cannot combine charts with tables. That's a huge problem of Tableau, for example. Whereas actually in Power BI, it's easier because you have the matrix and you can switch certain columns on and off with conditional formatting, so you can sort of do something. But like business reports where you need to combine text columns with charts and then make sure that everything is scaled, this is a problem in both tools actually. So, and this is where the custom visuals in Power BI come really handy. And so this is another example done with the Zero BI visuals. Okay, so if we just take a look now with the Zero BI visuals, just let's try to analyze the situation. What is the real situation with the you see with all of those categories. So now I have the same data here. Let me just simplify it slightly. And now I see my, okay, now I see my growth from the previous year. So I see the sales and also the growth. I immediately see that, you know, machines have actually a negative growth. I didn't see that before, like this. And I can add the profitability. So for example, I can add the profit. This is now the Zebra BI tables visual, right? So it's just another visual, custom visual that you add. You actually just, in Power BI, you simply say get more visuals, right? And you will find, you know, you have your choice within all of those 318 visuals. And you simply search for them in the marketplace and you will find them. So the Zebra BI visuals are here, tables and charts, but there are many others, right, that will help you with, you know, decomposition trees and many other types of visualizations, infographics, and so on. Some of them really beautifully made, and so this is a huge benefit. So for example, the Zebra BI tables like this, you know, where you can simply switch the type of the chart here or make it a table. So it's, you see, it's actually much more flexible than in either native Power BI or Tableau, but Power BI has, you know, allows you to use tools like that directly, natively in the chart. So you see that you know, it's the same thing here. So now I've added the profit, and you know, just visualize the profit, and I see that, you know, it's okay, it's minus 8K here, right? But again, this one, is this one really scaled with this one? Maybe it's not, but for example, the Zebra BI tables support the so-called scaled groups, and right now this one is scaled with this one, but it does not, you know, it does not take all of that space that Tableau would take. All right, and even the small multiples, as we have seen. So this would be the small multiples now with the Zebra BI custom visual. Okay, so I just put this off. So this is one chart. Now let's do something extreme at the city. And now we have an analysis. Look at this. So this is now we understand this, the sales by city. New York City, wow, great growth, almost 100% growth rate. The biggest one, and then we have the smallest ones. And this would just not work in Tableau actually, because you would just see either one row or one column, and all of them would be this, the height would be the same. But here, you know, you have maybe 20 or more charts on one page, and even when you go down, as the values get smaller, you know, the amount of space is also that it reserves is smaller, so they are much more optimized. But at the same time, the scaling is still there. So, you know, the values are still rendered exactly in the same scale, that they share the same y-axis. And, you know, and then you can zoom in and, you know, check the other city like that. So the point is that, you know, custom visuals add this additional power even in the spaces where maybe Tableau had years of advantage. All right, guys, I could go on and on and on, but it's time that we wrap this up. So if you like the Zebra BI visuals, check them out on the Microsoft App Source Marketplace. These are the resources. We keep the webinar recordings on our webpage, so visit our webpage, and I'm open for Q&A now. I'm sure there are some questions. Tina, help me with the questions. Do we have some interesting questions?
Yeah, sure. As always, yeah, maybe let's start with the question from Jenny. She would like to know which tool would you recommend for beginners for basic reporting, and maybe you can also extend this question to also which tool would you recommend for advanced reporting also.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The way I see it and the way I got the feedback, I would say that for the beginners, Power BI is easier. For the beginners, I think Power BI is easier, and I think Power BI also, cares about the beginners more than Tableau. When you come to Tableau at first, it's quite you're quite frustrated. You click here and then things change, and it's quite I don't think I think it's easier for Power BI is easier to start with. Then it's like an intermediate level when you want to do something beyond the basics. Then Tableau kicks in with these little tricks, and then you can enable the secondary axis and move things around, and add labels where you want them, and annotate things like you can right click and annotate something, annotate a point and add something. So when you need something more than just basic charts and tables, then Tableau, I guess, has an advantage, and here you can do beautiful things, and it has more control over the visualization, this more settings and so on. So also, if you have this designer feeling and you're more into information design and so on, then Tableau is the tool. But then when you come to when you again grow out of that, you find that Tableau has also limitations, and you just see yourself doing more and more tricks and hacks and strange workarounds and so on. And then again, maybe Power BI is more interesting because it has advanced custom visuals and some other options, right? So but for beginners to start with, the user experience is easier for sure for beginners and business users in the beginning.
Okay, very good point. Next, we have a question from Rahim. And the question is, are there any add-ins for Tableau that are IBCS compliant? Like for example, Zebra and Power BI.
Yeah, I actually just checked. So I have shown all the in Power BI, you just add them here. You go here and you say get more visuals, and you have the visuals. And yes, Zebra BI is IBCS compliant. Now in Tableau, you have the so-called extensions. I've mentioned that there are 52 or what extensions. So if you click here on a dashboard, you click here, you go to the extension gallery. Here you will see all the extensions, and you will see that there are not a lot of them. And as far as I saw, there's actually no IBCS compliant extension at the moment listed here. So these are all of them. But that's it. So it's very easy to check here. So but maybe you can contact us directly regarding this question, so as well, so in private.
Okay, so should we take one or two additional questions, Andrej?
Yeah, just I will stay here as long as there are interesting questions, so just let me know.
Okay, so maybe I would continue with this one because it's let's say quite interesting. It's a question from Richard, and well, the question goes like this: so data science uses a bit different visualizations, and which tool do you see is more suitable for this area of data visualization?
Yeah, that's again a great comment. Probably at the moment, in terms of visualization in data science, definitely Tableau is very strong. If you will see, so like the scatter plot in Tableau, when you see the details and what you can do with it, just with the scatter plot, right, it's better than Power BI. Although Power BI also has quite a good scatter plot chart. Actually, I actually think that scatter plot is one of the best visuals in native Power BI, on top of Power BI Matrix Visual, for example. Maybe they are on pair. It depends. If you're heavily visual type, then maybe Tableau has a slight advantage. But Power BI, in terms of data science, Power BI supports both R and also Python, right? So you need to set it up, but you can actually run R within Power BI and then display the charts inside Power BI. That's one of the things, and also you can use like machine learning and even Python scripts, for example, when you load the data. So even in the ETL process, so Power BI actually has, I would say, very good support for that. But in terms of just visualization and so on, probably Tableau is still better. Especially with like small multiples. Like if you need, if you need a scatter plot in small multiples, you can't do that in Power BI, but you can do it in Tableau for now, right? Maybe in half a year, probably in half a year, Power BI will also have this, but right now, very advanced data visualization, still stronger in Tableau.
Okay, next we got a question from Roman. So which tool is better in the terms of user authorization? I guess this is related to like security aspect and things like that. Maybe this is something that we didn't touch as of right now.
This is hard to say. I mean, this is hard to say. I would say Power BI is probably stronger traditionally. It also depends. What kind of environment you have. So if you're more in Microsoft environment, then Power BI is a no-brainer because everything is integrated with all of the other tools, with Office, with Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, row-level security works, out of the box. You can do it. You have the gateway if you have the server on premise, or you can do it in the cloud and so on. So there's, I mean, Power BI has extensive options for that. If you need to go very far with the security, then Power BI is probably much stronger. But also, I mean, Tableau does have row-level security and other things as well. But probably, at least to my knowledge, I'm not an expert for administration here. Power BI is probably stronger and offers a lot of options, and it can become maybe even too much. I mean, there are so many options there. So the administration then in Power BI, if you have a complex environment, then you might have the problem on the other end, how to administer everything. So, but you have all the options for sure in Power BI, more than Tableau, I guess.
Okay, great. Maybe let's wrap it up with the final question, because we have a couple of similar questions for this topic. So which tool does it perform better in terms of performance? Which one does handle big data sets better?
This also depends. I mean, I saw a lot of comparisons, and I don't know. Tableau was very strong in this at the beginning, from the beginning already. But then Power BI, I mean, Power BI started with the tabular engine that is highly optimized, extremely, it's a columnar stored database. So I believe from what I have read that actually Power BI is a little bit faster and stronger and can handle, I mean, billions of rows in different ways. I mean, now this depends, what's your setup and so on. So Microsoft has famous demos with the taxi rides in New York where they have billions of rows and so on, and it's like you can see that it's extremely fast. So that database is optimized for speed and a lot of volume of information. But also Tableau has a great database engine. So they're probably there. It depends on the use case really. Most of the time, performance is not a question of the capability of the tool, but how do you use it? Because sometimes then maybe you have a live connection somewhere and you have a strange infrastructure, and then you have lots of reasons why things can run slow, either in Power BI or in Tableau, I'm afraid. But in terms of capabilities, maybe Power BI is slightly faster, but I don't think this is a major. They can both handle a lot of data, depending on where you have it and how do you have your connections.
Okay, Andrej, thanks a lot. Thank you also everybody for joining today's session. We'll get back to you in a couple of days for all the questions that we weren't able to address today. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining, and Andrej, thank you for another great webinar.
Thanks guys, thanks everyone. Follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, where also this recording will be stored, and we have other recordings there. And see you at our next webinar. Thanks, cheers.
Bye-bye.